Good day, Sir Janus. So, this is our prelim project with my team, Ms. De Guzman, Ms. Calitis, Mr. Valencia, Ms. Velasco, Ms. Pregonero, Mr. Jacob, Mr. Tojo, Mr. Guevara, and Mr. Navea. So, the instruction of our prelim project is a pet shop is providing service to its customer either having dog or cat as pets. So the pet information is important for the pet shop so that the records can be collected and kept for the future use. So pet information for every customer varies depending on the preference of the customer. So the following are the possibilities upon recording the pet information. So these are the pet name and type, pet name, type, and breed, pet name, type, breed and color, pet name, type, breed, color, and age, pet name, type, breed, color, age, and sex, pet name, type, breed, color, age, sex, and the owner's name. So the program was created a menu-driven program in object-oriented approach using Java language to simulate the recording and displaying using the show detail method of the pet class. So um, note that the pet object should be created using overloaded constructors that satisfy the fields entered by the user depending on his or her choice among the given possibilities. So the program will always show the menu for encoding information and should only stop when the user tries to select an exit menu. So let's start with our program. Wait.
Uh, based on the instruction, we need to create a menu for the selection of the user. As long as the user chooses the register transaction, the user needs to put the pet's information. If the user selects exit selection, then the program will stop. Um, let's start. Let's start here with the main class. We use a buffered reader to scan the user's input. We first need to import java.io asterisk semicolon. After importing, we need to put rows of IO exception to check exceptions. If there occurs any unchecked exception such as null pointer exception, it is programmer's fault that he is not checking the code before it being used. So let's now declare the buffered readers object. Buffered reader, our variable name is reader equals to new buffered reader, then open parenthesis, new input stream reader. Inside the new input stream reader, we will put here the system.in. System.in is the standard input device. He will collect the user's input.
So in this part, we declare choices variable that will hold the user transactions, which is choices letter A for register and B for exit. So when the user inputs smaller capital letter A, the pet information will display. Then if the user choose smaller capital letter B, the program will exit or terminate.
So good evening, Sir Janus. In our program, we use an if-else statement for the choices of the user. In this part, the user has the option to choose, which is list A to F. The, yun. The user has choices so that he or she can be able to input the data that he or she only wants. If the user wants pet name and pet type only, uh, he will choose or type the keyword 1, and then the field will be printed where he can able to type the pet name and pet type only. And when the program prints the value of the fields where the pet name and the pet type has only value, and the other attribute that he doesn't want to answer will be set the value to null, as well as the other choices. If he want to answer the pet name, pet type, and pet breed only, Then he will just type the selection 2. Then the input field of the user selected choices will be printed, where he will put the data of his pet, which he just want to put. And the other fields where he did not choose will be set the value to null. Same as the other choices. But if the keyword entered by the user is not in the choices, the text in the invalid selection will be printed. That's for our choices.
Next is here in object. As you can see, the first object in first selection, the only thing programmed as is the pet name and pet type. And then the only the name and type are inside the parameter, just like what you see here in the screen. If the user select the pet information, for example, selection 2, as you notice, the program asks the pet name, pet type, and pet breed, so that only the name, type, and breed will place inside the parameter. The pet name, pet type, and pet breed is what the program asking. So, only the information provided in the pet name, pet type, and pet breed by the user will print the output, and the rest is null. And when the user select the selection 6, the program will ask the pet name, pet type, pet breed, pet color, pet age, pet sex, and pet owner name. So all of that will put inside the parameter. And then it will print all the information what program is asking. If the program only asks is that only can put inside the parameter. That's all.
So now, what is do while loop? So do while loop is used to iterate a part of the program repeatedly until the specified condition is true. So at first, we create two choices which is register and exit. The register stands for execute the main progress of our program, and the exit stands for to break or exit or terminate the program. If the user is always select a register, the program will continue execute or run. But if the user select the exit option, the whole program is totally terminate or break because of its condition, which is to break or stop the program. And that's all. Thank you.
So here in declaration of class field, we use public access modifier. So we can easily modify the code that we use. First is public and the name of the class. Public class pet. So in the first declaration, we use public string pet name. So why string? Because we want to input word on the pet name and the same on the other declaration of class that we use like pet breed, pet type, pet color, pet sex, pet owners, and pet age.
Next is the constructor. So here in the first constructor, we have two parameters declared as string inside the parentheses, the name and type. We use this keyword to remove the confusion between class attributes and parameters that have same names. This that the name of variable equals the parameter. The purpose of this code is to store a value that the user inputs. So here in the first constructor, it will only store the name and the type of pet. While in the second constructor, it will store the value of the pet's name, type, and breed.
So the next constructor accepts the name, type, breed, and color of the pet. So if the following pet informations are the ones that the owner chose, this constructor will store the informations that the pet owner gave. So we use the keyword this to call out the variable of the given information. So then in the next constructor, if the pet owner only wants to input the name, type, breed, color, and age of the pet, this constructor will store or hold the informations of the given variables. We also used here the keyword this to call out the variables of the given information.
So next, again, declare a constructor public pet, which is the class name. Then inside of the parameter, again, we don't put what we usually put like the string pet name, string pet type, and so on. Because this time we're going to use input type. Again, it is not possible to use a parameterized constructor that sets the value inside the parameter, because what is required here in the program is that the program will ask you what you want to input. That's why again we put the variable name that holds what the user input that will display later on, which at the number 5 in the PDF, what the user needs to input is the name, type, breed, color, age, sex, like this. The string name, string type, string breed, string color, string age, then the string sex, which are all the variable names. Then again, using the this method, then that notation, then the class field, which are the pet name equals name, pet type equals type, then pet breed equals breed, then pet color equals color, then pet age equals age, then pet sex equals sex. That will display later through this method. For example, in sex, when the user input what his or her dog's sex, now the pet sex, which is the class field, will hold the value on what the user input on the sex. And now it will display inside this method because there were a class field that holding the value. Because again, it can't be this that pet sex equals pet sex because it's going to be null because no one is holding it or holding the value. Then next, same as for the class, last public class, it only added an owner's name. Again, declare a constructor, public pet. Then inside the parameter are the variable name, string type, string breed, string color, string age, string sex, then string owner's name. Then again, use the this method, then that notation, then the class fields, which are the pet name, pet type equals type, and so on, so that the value will display later through this method. That's all.
So last is this method. So we declare show details method to print the output of the user entered of the pet information. So here by declaring the object and setting the variable of the all fields, it will display what only set on the parameter. So by declaring the object name and the that notation, so to access the show details method to print the output of the pet information that they entered by the user. So here the output of our code. So as you can see, in our program, you will choose your transaction. It's either register or exit. So here, but as my team said earlier, if I inputted a capital letter A as register and small letter A, it um, it will display the uh, all of pet information. So like this. So let's try to put a small letter. Now, after choosing transaction, you will choose your record for your pet information. So here, you will choose name or type or or with breed, color, age, sex, or the owner's name. So I will choose the number 2 information to record my pet's information. So, now, after inputting the information of my pet, as you can see here, the color, age, sex, and the owner is null. It's because we choose number 2 information to input my pet information. Now, on the parameter, we only set the name, type, and breed only. So the rest of the information is now null. Now, after displaying all of the pet information, the program will still ask your transaction. Now, you can register again or exit the system. So, as long as you cannot choose the exit menu or exit choice transaction, the program will not terminate and still asking for you to choose your transaction. Now, like what I said, if after displaying the output, the program will still ask for my transaction. Now I am choosing the exit transaction to exit my system. So the program now terminated and stopped. So that's all, sir. Thank you.